This is that first practice problem. We're going to run through this one together. Okay? So when we're setting up our line graph, remember, graph is scaled to fit the paper. Margins are less than 5 centimeters. So when I have my graph paper, I'm going to make sure I have my ruler. Here's my 5 centimeters. I'm going to make sure that I'm at least that close to all my edges. Okay, so I'm going to start pretty near the bottom of my page. Probably, like if I measure 5 centimeters, okay, I don't really want to go that far. I'm going to go up about 2 centimeters. That puts me on this line. So I'm going to start on that line. And then since I have my holes on that side of the paper, I'm going to indent it in a little bit. So this is about 4. I'm going to start here. So this is just a few centimeters up. This is less than 5 centimeters from the edge. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up my graph, making sure I use my straight edge so that it ends up looking nice and neat. Okay, so now I've got my lines drawn for my axes and it looks nice and neat. It's taking up most of that paper. Okay, if we look at our notes, look at your note sheet. Under number 1, the identify the variables. A says the independent variable goes on the x-axis. So this is our x-axis. Let's label this. Let's label this our x-axis. That's where our independent variable is going to go. Our dependent variable goes on our y-axis up and down. So let's label our y-axis. Okay, so now we've got both of those labeled. Step 2, under your notes, says determine the variable range. Okay, so let's look at our graph. The x-axis should always be on that left side of your table, okay? So that goes to 10. So how am I going to figure this out? I'm going to count how many lines I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So I'm going to take the number I have, which is 10. So that's my highest number on here. I'm going to take 10 divided by my 27. I get, I think it was 26. So I'm going to get somewhere around a half. Okay, I'm not going to do this in my head, but I know now that each one of these lines is a half. So I'm going to go every 2 lines. I'm going to mark with a 1, 1 and 1/2, 2, 2 and 1/2, 3. So I'm just going to mark every other line with a whole number. Okay, so I've got my scale, or my range on the bottom. Now I need to get my scale going up the side. Okay, if I look at my data chart, I'll bring that in. My data chart, my largest distance is 200. Okay, so I've got 200. I'm going to count my lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. So if I take 200 divided by 40, 20 divided by 4, that gives me 5. Okay, so each one of my lines is going to be 5. So start with my 0, 5, 10. Make sure you're labeling the lines. 15, 20. Okay, and we're going to do that all the way up the side. Making sure you're labeling on those lines. Okay, so it goes all the way to up to the top. There we have 200. Okay, so if we look at our notes, okay, we've determined where the x variable goes. Remember, that's on the left of the chart. We've done our dependent variable. We've got our range. We've got our scale, okay? Now we need to number and label each axis. We did that. Now we're going to plot the data points. Okay, so if I look at my chart, time is 0, okay? Down here, we didn't label it yet. We should label our x-axis. This is time, okay? And then, so that left column, that's your x. Your distance in meters, that's your y. So we should label that. So distance, that's what we're measuring. The unit that we're measuring is meters. Okay, so now I've got this all set up. I'm gonna plot my points. My first point is 0, so that means I don't go over any. And my second point is 0, so 0, 0. I'm gonna put a dot here. When you do your dot, make sure that I can clearly tell where it's at. It doesn't have to be huge, but make sure that it's clear. Our next data point is 1, 2. So this is, we go over 1. We're gonna go up 2. So remember, this is 5 right here. 2 is just under half of 5. So I'm gonna guesstimate where the half is, and I'm gonna go just underneath that. That's where my next point is. The next data point is 2 and 8. So 2 and 8. So we go over to 2, we go to 8. So this is 5, and this is 10. So we're in between 5 and 10. 8's just over half, so here's 5. 8 would be just above that. So we put that number in. Our next number is 3 and 18. So we go over to 3. We go up to 18. So here's 15. Here's 20. 18 is right in the middle of that, just over half. So we go halfway, go up just a little bit. That's where your next dot would be. Our next plot is 432. We go over to 4. We go up to 32. So here's 30, okay? This next one's 35. So we're not gonna go all the way. 32 is just under half, so I pick my half. I slide my pencil down just a little bit. I put my number or my dot right there. Our next one is 5 and 50. So we go to 5 and we go all the way up to 50. And where those two lines intersect, I'm gonna put my dot. The next number is 6 and 72, so we're over at 6. Here's our 70. 72, remember, is just under half, so I go to halfway. I put my pencil just below that. I make my dot. The next number is 7 and 98, so we're gonna go to the 95. Okay, 98 is just over half, so I go to half. I put my pencil up just a little bit higher. There's our 98. Their next one is 8 and 128. So here's my 125. And I go up where those meet. Okay. 128 is just over halfway in between 125 and 130. So I go halfway up, move my pencil just a touch higher than that, and I put my dot. The next number is 9 and 162. So I go to my 9. 160 is right here. I go where those intersect. Okay, that's 60. 62 is just under halfway between that. So I go halfway, slide my pencil down just a little bit, and I estimate where that dot would be. And then finally I've got 10 and 200. So I follow my 10 line all the way up to where my 200 line is, right up here, and I put my dot. Okay, so on our note sheet, let's review. We've identified the variables, we've determined the range, we determined the scale for the graph, we numbered and labeled each axis, we plotted those data points. Now we have to draw the graph. We have to draw a curve or a line that best fits these data points. Okay? So we want to draw a line. We're not going to go dot to dot to dot. We want to draw a line that best fits. If I look at my data points, they look like they kind of are starting curving upwards. So I'm going to draw a best fit curve, a data curve. Okay, sometimes they're going to all line up nice and neat that I can put my ruler and go right in between. This one looks like it curves, so I'm going to draw my graph. Oops. Draw my graph so I get a nice straight line that fits this curve. Not all your dots are going to be exactly on the curve, but they're all going to be very, very close. Okay, so now that we've done that, remember we need to have a title. Okay, your title needs to be descriptive of what you have. So, where's our chart? Here's my data chart. It's time and distance. So, distance traveled in meters per second would be a good name for my graph. So I'm going to put right up here, I'm going to name my graph. Distance traveled over time. Okay, that's the name of my graph. So that's step 7. That's the title of our graph. Okay, so finally when we get to the end of our notes, this is what I'm talking about, that best fit line. Yours probably won't be pronounced as much as this. I went over this in pen so we could see it better. But if you're looking at these two, which one would be the best fit line? Okay, if you said line number 2, you would be correct. This line goes through these data points nice and neatly. This line does not. And so when I look at these, this looks like these dots are kind of curving. This is when you would do that best fit curve. Okay, when they all line up nice and neat along this line, you can do a straight line. But if your data points are something like this, that means you're going to want to draw that curve line. That's your best fit. Okay.